Hi, my name is Jamin Goecker. I'm a realtor in South Central Alaska, and my mission is to help you to build an intentional and significant legacy for yourself and your family by coaching you in real estate. Now today, the best thing I can do for you is to give you the real estate market update for what's going on in Eagle River, Alaska. And we're going to be focusing on the residential, the condos, and the multifamily market. We'll work over all the details in all of these different sectors, and then I'll summarize kind of what the key takeaways are at the very end. Before we get started though, do make sure you give this video a like, and make sure that if you haven't done so already, that you subscribe in order to receive the most up-to-date market information that is available to you. Now without further ado, let's jump into it. The first thing that we want to look at when we're analyzing the market in Eagle River is just how many homes we have that are currently on the market. As you can see on the chart here, there were 131 homes that were on the market during the past month in November last year. This year, we've got 81 homes that are on the market. So way less inventory than what we had this time last year. That's number one. The next thing that I want to show you is how many homes sold in this market year to date compared to the same time last year. As you can see over here, we're actually seeing that this time last year there was 444 homes that sold. This year it is 444 homes that actually sold. So what that means is we're seeing about a 22.52% increase for the number of homes that actually have sold, even with that inventory being much smaller than what it was before. Additionally, you see over here that the days on market has actually gone down by about 17%. That is important because the shorter time period a home is on the market, the more demand we see that the market had for that home. So we're seeing a huge shift in the number of days on market for residential properties here in Eagle River. The next thing that we want to look at is the average sold price for properties here in Eagle River. I don't always like using this one just because it is a smaller market, but we need to look at it anyway. Over here, what we're seeing is the average sold price in Eagle River for the past month that we have in November 2020, about $385,000. Year before that in November though, average sold price was $359,000. So that is a significant increase in the average sold price for properties here in Eagle River. And you can see that's kind of the trend all the way across the year here. Now, if you're anything like me, you might think, okay, maybe that's just a fluke. Maybe we are in fact seeing that that's not what we're seeing across the entire board. Maybe it's just a couple months. So let's take a look overall where we're at year to date compared to the previous year. This actually shows us that the average sold price overall in Eagle River is in fact going up year over date. For example, the average sold price was right around $389 this year, just year to date, whereas previously it's right around $380 for the year before. So we are seeing an uptick just across the board for properties in Eagle River. Over here, this little chart here definitely does also indicate that we're seeing a roughly 2%, a little more than that, increase across the board for 2000 to 2020 compared to the previous year. So that was the residential market. Let's check out what's going on in the condo market now. What we're seeing over here is that the inventory right now is going to be about 17. The year before it was at 21. So we do see a drop of inventory. Keep in mind this isn't a very big pool to start with though. Really none of the inventory levels really compare to what we're seeing in red, which was in 2018. So that's first off. Inventory is low. It's not a huge sample size to begin with because condos aren't quite as popular here as they might be in Anchorage. The next thing that we're going to, Abby, use image 6 for this one. The next thing we're going to look at is just the 30,000 foot view, how many condos have sold up to this point compared to the year before. Now, we're actually seeing about a 22% decrease in the number of condos that have sold in this market year to date. That's to be expected. If we have smaller inventory. The thing that does catch my attention though is over here, we're actually seeing there's a 5% increase in the number of days on market, and there's about a 0.4% decrease in the average sales price compared to what they were asking for. So that's pretty significant. Usually if we see less inventory, we see those items going the other direction. So keep that in mind. Let's take a quick break from today's video. Did you know I am going to be starting a podcast in January of 2021? Well, you do now. The purpose of the podcast is we're going to be answering the questions for all of you who are thinking about answering the call and moving to Alaska. We're also going to be interviewing Alaskans. These are the authentic people who actually live up here and what their stories and experiences have been living on the last frontier. It's a project I've really been looking forward to a long time. It's not something that's quite as conducive on YouTube, so I'm looking forward to creating the podcast and just giving you a slice of what it's like living up here in Alaska from the people who actually live up here. Now, without further ado, now let's look at the average sold price for the condos in the Eagle River market. Over here, what we're going to see is it's kind of misleading. If you go just off of the past month in November, you're going to see a huge precipitous drop, and that's probably going to be a little depressing because this went from about 294, 295 somewhere in there to about 252 somewhere in there. So you see a big drop there. But let's take a look at the next chart to really kind of pull this together. This next chart really does make it a little bit more optimistic for us as far as pricing goes for condos, because this over here shows us average sold price was about $232 last year. This year it's about $241 for year to date. So as long as we're not just looking at what happened the past month, but we're taking the entire year to date, actually does look a bit more optimistic. This shows that we actually have about 3.87% increase for sales price for condos. So that's good news. I'll take that. Let's go and switch gears a little bit now, and let's look at the multi-unit properties that are in Eagle River. Not surprisingly, inventory is down for multi-unit properties. I would point out that last year we had about 12 properties that were on the market. This year it's 8. So we're not talking about huge monolithic shifts in the market necessarily. Just really across the board for the entire year for multi-unit properties, we've had a shortage of inventory. The only month it's been equal to what it was the previous year, for that month, was back in January of 2020. So we've kind of had less inventory really this entire year. So that's really not that big of a surprise. Now, looking at kind of that 30,000 foot view now, let's look over here. The number of properties that sold, there were multi-properties this past year in Eagle River, actually saw a significant increase. It went from 8 the previous year, kind of year to date, to right now at 13. So that's about a 62% increase for the properties that have actually sold, even though inventory is really low. Looking over here also, we see that the days on market decreased as well. I think that's roughly about 11% decrease for the days on market, which any movement for the days on market, usually pretty significant. And looking over here at just kind of the average sold price or the list sales ratio, in other words, how much you asked for versus how much you got, it actually is increased by roughly about 2.5%. for this year to date. So that's a promising indicator. Not a lot of inventory out there for multi-units, but it is still pretty good in Eagle River if that's what you're trying to sell. Now here's the average sold price for multi-unit properties in Eagle River. Now this is why I really pointed out we have kind of a smaller sample size, because over here we don't have anything that's sold and actually sold and closed recorded in November. But you can kind of see just across the board, it is all sorts of sporadic just because it is a smaller market and you've got months throughout the years where nothing's sold. So this chart's going to look a little patchy. The thing I really want you to see about the multi-unit properties in Eagle River though, is that the year-to-date average sold price has actually gone down a pretty significant amount. This time last year, the average sold price was right around $452, somewhere in there. This year, we're actually seeing it's about $402, $401 for about 11.32% decrease for the average sold price year over year. So that's obviously a pretty significant cut. Now let's summarize all of this together and really make it make sense for you. So number one, in the residential market, we're seeing inventory is low and the average sales price year to date is up by around $9,000. So that's doing pretty good. So if you're looking to sell in the residential market in Eagle River, that's great. If you are a buyer and you're looking to buy in the residential market in Eagle River, still not bad because interest rates are so low. You can actually absorb that, and you're not going to really feel a difference with that because the interest rates are going lower, as you know, for where we're at right now compared to where we have been in the past. For the condo market, we're seeing that the inventory is low. The average sales price for the past couple of months is down, but we're seeing that the year to date, in other words, taking the entire year for what it is for the condo market and putting it all together, we're seeing that we're actually a little bit up from where we were before. So still favorable. Need to keep an eye on the month-to-month trends though. Finally, let's look at the multifamily properties in Eagle River. This is an interesting one because we're seeing that the inventory is low, but the sales price is also going down. Now keep in mind, multifamily, that encompasses a lot. Okay, it can be anywhere from the duplex all the way up to something more like a fourplex or beyond. So for that reason, we're seeing that properties that are here, for whatever reason, are selling for less than what they did in the previous year. This could be that perhaps the properties we're selling this year are more like the duplexes, more so than the fourplexes. That could be it. I'm not really sure demand is down necessarily because we sold more properties that were multifamily by about 62%, even though it's a smaller sample size. So the demand is good. Sales price is going down though. So that just indicates to me that the properties that people are selling that are multifamily properties are probably a little bit more on the smaller size, more like a duplex is kind of what I'm seeing from the data. But more than open to any theories you might have. Thank you for watching. I really hope this has been useful for you. If it has, do make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe to make sure that you receive more updates like this so you can be informed on what's going on and be on the cutting edge of what's happening in your market. Also, if you are wanting to kind of follow and see what's going on kind of in the behind the scenes view of what's going on in Alaska, feel free to check out my Instagram page, and that's going to be in the link in the description down below. And if you need to get in contact with me directly, please make sure you reach out to me through my Facebook page. Link for that is going to be in the description section down below as well, and I'll be happy to get back to you and answer any questions that you might have. Also, if you're ready to start looking for homes here in Eagle River or South Central Alaska, make sure that you do download my app and that you take a look at it, see how it can help you kind of navigate the process. And I do appreciate you. Look forward to seeing you next time. Downloading my app is pretty simple. You simply scroll to the description section of my videos, click on the link there. It's going to take you to my website. From there, scroll down, hit download app. It'll take you to a place where you enter in your phone number, enter that in, click send link. It's going to text you a link to the App Store. And from there, you'll have to click on that, enter in your email address, and then it's going to register you to the app, and you'll be able to start modifying your search. You can modify number of bedrooms, bathrooms, property type. You have a lot of modifications you can do on there, or just draw a shape to it. From there, you'll have the ability to go and just browse through, create your own specific saved searches on there that's going to make sense for you. Go ahead and add notes just so it makes sense. And that's going to be kind of the basic search capabilities. There are a lot of extra bonuses and things to this that make it really beneficial, like walking you through the entire process as a buyer or seller and giving you all the details that's involved with each one of those steps So never at any point are you going to be lost in the process. So we've kind of just scratched the surface here, but that's just to get you started.